This is Alex, a survivor competing, math teaching weapon of mass seduction from Australia that went from being an unstoppable force of partying to being in a committed relationship with a beautiful and driven woman. I met him in his first phase and was curious to know what made him change. Was it changes within? Was it her that made him change? This is the full interview where we talk about what one thing would make the world a better place, what made him change to be in a committed relationship, self-esteem and judging yourself, his experience fighting in MMA, reality shaking experiences, social media detoxes, lip fillers, cosmetic modifications and their effect on self-esteem, what values you look for in friends, and Ayahuasca. If you could share anything with the world, like an experience, a food, a smell, literally anything, what do you think would make the world a better place by sharing that one thing with everyone?
The app that I use for meditation, it's called Waking Up. It's by a man called Sam Harris, and that has significantly changed my life in the last 3 years. So I would say that meditation is something that, if done regularly, will improve the life of every human being. That's what I believe. And I think that this is the perfect app to dive in and try it.
How long did it take you to get results off of it?
It's very hard to measure the results from meditation.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's inevitable, that it's quite difficult to measure how your progress is going. But I would say after 6 weeks of using it, I noticed changes in myself where I was like, this is definitely going to lead to a better life than one that I was living.
Yeah, I've done just one or two meditations so far, basically nothing, but even those one or two did seem to make a good difference, like just in the moment, a quick little boost in the morning.
I mean, just taking any amount of time to just stop the external factors in your life and consciously think about your own thoughts, emotions and feelings, and then reflect on them is, parts of my life that have seriously improved my positive emotions.
Perfect. And okay, so
sorry to interrupt. Can I ask you that question? What would you share with the world? That's a good one.
I would share the feeling that I got when I would see my ex-girlfriend the time we got back together, like 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
That feeling of just pure joy and happiness at seeing another person, I think trumps everything else that I've ever experienced so far, and makes me want to attain that one more time, more so than any other physical goal that I've ever had.
We're already getting a little quite deep here. So you say to me that you want to experience that feeling again. Is the goal to achieve more happiness, more and more happiness, or more and more joy over your life?
Just to feel that way for somebody again, to get to know somebody to that level and really understand them and appreciate them like that. Because that like I said, it was more so the second time around that we got together. Because the first time it was awesome, the honeymoon or honeymoon phase or whatever. But the second time around, it was after a lot of other mistakes, a lot of bullshit that we went through and hardship. And I had a much deeper appreciation for her that time than the first time around. So it was just having that level, and not just for her, I'd like to have that level of appreciation for everybody, to be honest. But
do you think that's possible?
Yeah. After doing ayahuasca, I felt like that not exactly like that with everybody, but I definitely appreciated everybody and was a lot more caring for everybody else's happiness and feelings, and just observing it more than now. Now I'm blocked off. It's kind of annoying, but
Ayahuasca again?
No. I've done enough times, and now I need to just apply. Yeah, stop making excuses for myself and be a better person.
I have many questions about ayahuasca if we've got time today. We'll see.
Absolutely. So the question I wanted to ask you, the burning question, is when I met you, you were, and I assume still are, a certifiable weapon of mass destruction with the ladies. And
Jesus.
you did not sound like you were wanting to settle down at all. When the last conversation we had by the beach, by that little palm tree, did not sound like you were like particularly down for settling down. Yet now you're with a wonderful, beautiful lady.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, I wanted to know what it was that what it is that she brings that like changed. What did you see that made you change?
So for starters, I think that there was a necessary change in myself that I needed to go through that process to then attract the woman that I wanted to be with. I think I was essentially a boy that was, morphing into a man. That's how I envision it. And I was here the first time when I met you. I was just wanting to play around and like I was living the party life, and that was great. I regret nothing about that lifestyle. The thing that I feel, the moment I realised I loved May and I knew that she was somebody that I could see myself being with, definitely for, another year or so, and seeing where things took me, and then, everyone's changing from there. She had this feminine essence about her that just was undeniable. I went over to Eindhoven to meet her for her birthday and then for Christmas later, and she cooked me dinner. We were going to one of her friend's house for this like dinner date thing that they'd organised for Christmas, and she cooked me dinner beforehand, and we were late because we were just like enjoying each other's company. But the moment I realised that she was different was after we both finished our meals after dinner. She stood up, she came around the table, and she pulled my chair back and she sat on my lap, and the music was playing, and there was just this moment of, this girl isn't just another girl that I picked up at a boat party. This girl is somebody who understands what it's like to be a woman, and I guess understood what a man desires. And I think that the polarity there and the understanding that she had in that moment, and it's not like she did it consciously, she just naturally does that. It's who she is. And it's I think that was the moment that I realised.
Very nice.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I guess it's because I've talked to a lot of friends and a lot of different people, a lot of guy friends, and a lot of them are saying kind of not the same thing, but it's everybody seems to be looking for like somebody that's a little bit different, like a vibe, or you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it exactly, but like I've got another friend that he was with a girl for a little while, and then he broke up with her because he just wasn't feeling a good or like a genuine vibe. And I've talked to a lot of different dudes, and I know a lot of guys that are very successful ladies, but it's always the same thing. There's always like kind of something missing, and they're looking for somebody that's got that kind of that spark that I don't know exactly.
Well, like I said at the very start when you asked me this question, I think that for you to attract the woman that you desire, there needs to be the change in yourself first. Like if May had met me a year earlier, like there's not a chance that we'd be together now. Like it's just not. But life works in mysterious ways, and I went through a change of like, okay, now I left the island, I was partying every single day, and I got stuck into my meditation like every single morning. I got super fit, I was disciplined, I was consistent, I was challenging myself in many different ways, and I felt like I evolved. And then from there I was like, all right, maybe I'm ready to try a relationship again. I've improved other parts of my life, and I think everyone, well, I mean, this is a massive assumption, but I think that most people have an instinct in them that a loving partner, and I genuinely mean a loving partner, doesn't just give them a companion for life. They actually like support them in every single facet of their life, and they propel you forward in all of your hopes and dreams in a way that's quite profound. And that's what I experienced with May. This last year has been incredible. I feel like I've achieved so much more than what I would have done if I wasn't with her. So
perfect. Yeah, I feel the same way with my ex-girlfriend back in the times. So much more is achievable. Life is so much, or all the challenges seem easier when you've got somebody that's there for you, versus just by yourself.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. It doesn't mean the challenges aren't there by any means.
Yeah, of course.
Like I've had some down times as well this year, but it's just nice to have a shoulder to lean on, and a shoulder that's incredibly supportive. Like, not just this, someone that you can go and tell your work day to. Really gets into it.
So, what was that change that happened within you?
Basic stuff, really. I went from being a party animal that got drunk every day to realizing that that's not a good way to live life, and I started waking up a lot earlier, a lot earlier than most people would, and I started just ticking boxes that, again, other people weren't. And yeah, I just felt a clarity of mind. I felt like I was developing spiritually. I felt like my physique, like my physical body, was thriving, and I just felt ready to attract the woman that I desired.
That must have been happening like right when we had that conversation, because I do remember you were talking about being kind of tired of the party, like just having to put that like massive energy out there every single day.
Yeah, well, that conversation we had was pretty much just before I left Isla, I think. Maybe no more than a month before I left. And when I left Isla, I went back to London, and I didn't drink then. I was like, oh man, it was the middle of winter. I even got into the Wim Hof stuff. I was cold showers throughout the middle of winter in London, every single morning at like 6 a.m. And it was just brutal, but it set a mindset that you can achieve anything, and then far out, you can become an animal if you have discipline enough. So I think that's what happened. I felt a lot of confidence. I felt a lot of clarity, and that's where my life took me.
You said that if you had met her like a year earlier, that it probably wouldn't have worked out. And actually, that's something that I kind of use for myself in all kinds of situations, but specifically with relationships. But really, it applies to everything, which is when I fail, and obviously in the moment it's not so easy to look at it that way, but whenever I fail, especially in relationships, I kind of look at it as not getting like pissed off at who I am so much, or like judging myself as much as looking at it and being like, oh, it didn't work because I wasn't ready for that situation to happen yet. Like I haven't gone through the personal development to take advantage of maybe something that comes my way, be it a relationship or a job or whatever. Yeah. It's like not judge oneself so much when we fail. It's just being like, oh, I just literally don't have the right preconditions yet for this to work out.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's just something I wanted to add, because I feel like, I personally attack myself a lot when something doesn't work.
It's quite funny. I'm actually listening to a book at the moment, The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer, I think his name is. And it's exactly that, man. Like, we are only ever, like, we compare ourselves to everyone in so many different ways, and it just robs us of our joy or our pride or feeling proud, because we're constantly comparing to other people. And if you just surrender, relax into where you are at any given moment in your life, I truly believe that we're always in the right spot at the right time. And what's the point of being hard on ourselves or feeling, disappointed, unsatisfied, frustrated when we're in the right spot? It doesn't really make any sense. So I hear you, and it's easy to say that and then not feel it at a time.
Oh yeah.
It still happens, but I appreciate, like, I love hearing that you're aware of that and talking about that, because I definitely notice it as well.
Yeah, even just saying it made me feel better right now, because I torture myself with when I'll make it, when especially it's hard when things come especially like easy, and then I still fuck it up anyway. Those are the ones that really fuck with me, because it's like, god damn it, and I'm just like, oh, okay. Back to the basics, man.
My mate Josh said something to me the other day. He said, your self-esteem is like a bank account, and at any given time, you've only got so much willpower to go and do something. Like 3 days ago, when after New Year's Eve, I was rat shit, mate. Like, I couldn't do anything without feeling rubbish. But he said, look, if all you could do is get up, walk outside, and stand in the sun for 10 seconds, and that's all you could do, and like give yourself a pat on the back and say, like, I did that. That's an extreme example, but if you're, if you're hurting and your goal is to get to 25 kilometers this week running, and you get out and do your 5 kilometers for the day, like, you need to reward yourself. You need to pat yourself on the back and say, oh, I did that, and deposit that into the bank account of your self-esteem. I like the analogies. People give them credit for what they do.
Yeah, it's really easy to judge yourself. It's fucking hard to avoid that shit sometimes. I must have checked out your Instagram the other day, and I saw you've competed in like fighting and stuff. I think MMA maybe like.
Yeah, so that was actually a charity event. I've always wanted to have a go at a fight one day. I was a little bit of a hothead growing up, and although I never had like real fights at school or anything, I just felt like I wanted to challenge myself in that way. So Mum had breast cancer maybe 8 or 9 years ago. She's all good now, but every now and again I like to do like a fundraiser, and I found this company or this organisation called Ultra MMA, which was essentially they'd give you 8 weeks of free training in mixed martial arts, and then at the end of the 8 weeks they would pair you up with one of the other people that's of similar abilities. You would compete, you'd fight an MMA style fight at a black tie event where you'd sell tickets to, and you'd fundraise throughout the 2 months and raise money for breast cancer. And like, I'm 1-0. I won that fight, and I'm
Only victories, perfect.
That was a wicked experience. Ultra MMA is a fantastic organisation for somebody that wants to try out fighting, and I love that. I mean, it probably helped that I won the fight, and it was like a comeback story as well in the fight. I was getting smacked, and I just got him at the end.
Do you ever get like these moments when you're like doing sport where time almost like goes into slow motion? So I've had this thing that happened. It's happened to me like, I don't know, maybe one, 2, 3 or 4 times in my life where I once was playing volleyball, like just jumped up and like went to go hit a spike, and it's literally like time just like slows down for like quarter of a second. It's the weirdest shit ever. And you just have time to like think about what you're doing as you're in the air. Or if not, this other time was fighting. It was a bar fight at Selena when I was poking out back in the day. And
What did you do?
I didn't do anything. These drunk dudes came and started trying to steal the bottles from the bar, and they were blaming us for it. We're like, no, it was them. So they came and tried to beat us up for it. But yeah, anyway, I was like on the ground and like kicking upwards, but it's just weird, like in that moment of like, I don't know if it's the adrenaline or what it is. But it's like I just feel like I have time to think, when normally like if I'm just like walking around, it doesn't feel like that at all. But usually in fights that happens. It's like it's almost like goes into slow motion. It's fucking weird.
I definitely didn't experience that in my fight. I honestly, like, the first 30 seconds were a blur, such a blur, man. Everything just was a rush. Everything was so much adrenaline pumping, and like you're just in there with 2 people trying to kill each other essentially, which was really scary. And like, I'd never done anything before. He got me in a guillotine in the first like 20 or 30 seconds, and I very nearly tapped at that point, but I managed to get out. But I was just like, I used every ounce of strength to do that, and I was so gassed for the rest of the fight, honestly, man. But I did not experience any time slowing where I could fucking avoid any punches or duck or weave and get out of there. Nah.
Well, maybe it's because it's an organized fight where you know that you're somewhat safe in the sense that as in you're not going to get killed or anything. Probably.
Maybe.
Probably not going
Probably
to
not
get
gonna get killed, but yeah, I hear
killed. The intent is not to die.
I have had a mysterious experience before on an airplane once, which I find it really hard to describe, this experience, but I was, I think I was in Warsaw for a party weekend with some mates. We did like a mystery trip thing, and we just had so much drugs and so much alcohol that I was just like, brain was absolutely fried, and we were flying back. And I was just sitting in the plane, and it almost felt, again, I'm sitting here really struggling to explain it because it's impossible to explain, but it just felt like time had ceased, time had stopped, there was no time, and I was just in this metal tube with like seats and people, and it just seemed like there was something else to consciousness or to the universe that I just could not grasp in any way, and I was just stuck there. And it wasn't like a painful experience or a discomfortable experience, and it did obviously pass. Like, it didn't last forever, but it just felt like time had stopped.
Wait, but how did that come about?
I was just sitting on the plane. There was nothing
You didn't like smoke something?
No, I wasn't on any drugs. Like, I mean, I was very hungover.
Yeah.
Like, I was extremely hungover, and maybe like there would still be substances like cocaine and alcohol and so maybe mushrooms. I don't know. It definitely wasn't mushrooms, actually. But it was just a lot of drugs and alcohol in the space of like 2 or 3 days, and it just felt something very strange. But I was definitely like, I'd managed to wake up, go to the airport, all fine. Like, there was no, and then just on the plane, it was very, very strange.
Might have always been like in fights. Now that I think about it, it's a couple of times. I can always also think of another time where it was like, this dude was on top of me, and there was just enough space so I could have gotten my knee and like just kneed him in his mouth and probably like cut his fucking tongue off or whatever, because like, I don't know, I knew I was gonna do damage if I did that, and I like, the time just like slowed down, and I was like, is it worth doing this? Do I really want to fuck this dude up? And then I was like, fuck it, and I just continued the fight without.
I think another reason why maybe I hadn't experienced something like this before is because in my fight as well, like leading up to the fight, it's all a charity event, man. Like, me and the guy that I'm fighting, we're having a laugh, we're carrying on, and like, so there's none of that real fight or flight, I would say, where it's like I'm in danger here, or I need to, you know.
I wish there was some. I wish I could figure out how to like tap into that.
Access that?
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Like, a couple of times in my life, I can remember every single moment where it happens, just like slow motion, and then you just have time to like think about what you're doing.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, weird. When you were doing it was 2 months, did you say, of Survivor?
The whole show runs for 47 days, yeah.
47 days.
So you're on the island for 47 days if you're at the end.
You didn't have any like social media, anything. You were on the island competing.
The time that we were on the island, we had absolutely nothing, man. No books, no social media, no phones, no nothing.
How was the experience of not having any technology, any contact with the world, not, being essentially unplugged?
It's an interesting question, and funnily enough, before we go into the game, so we get flown out to Samoa, and before we go into the actual game on the island, we get put into a hotel for about 6 nights, depending on how long they need to get everything sorted. So we were in this shitty hotel for like 6 nights, and you no phone, no nothing at this point, right? Just by yourself. You're locked in your room, you might get like 30 minutes of pool time. And that was challenging, really, really tough. And for me, I thought, I've dove into meditation, I'll be fine. I'll be able to entertain myself. I'll work out in my bedroom and things like that. But it was still tough, man. Like, it's a long time, like 16 hours of the day where you're awake. It's a long time to entertain yourself. And in my everyday life, I get caught up in my business, or I'm, on my laptop, or I'm on Instagram scrolling, and all of that time is time gone. Or if I'm walking and listening to my audiobook, like, that's hours and hours of time that I don't have to think about, that's taken up. But there, it was just like, what do I do, man? Like, all right, we read for a little bit, then we we watch we watched some TV or something that there was shit on. There was only Samoan stuff. But in terms of like, there was no social media, and that was really challenging. And then getting onto the island, you're obviously playing a game. It's a very manipulative sort of game, so you're constantly thinking about that. But it was nice to, I guess, to be disconnected from the world a little bit at that time.
Did you notice any, did you feel different when you came out of it?
In what way?
Well, for example, I lost my phone, or I think I dropped it in the water and then it died. So I didn't have a phone for a month or 2 months, and it was just like one of the most wonderful experiences ever, because, I know it's quite different from Survivor, but like, I kind of learned to live without the phone and without having something like to distract me so easily.
I think it is very, very different, because Survivor wasn't a very pleasant experience, man. Like, it's challenging itself, and you're hungry and you're tired, and you just do want the creature comforts of a bed or some social media. Like, you have no idea how many times I just wanted to sit on my phone and just mindlessly take my mind off things and just relax. So I think it is a different experience. I did, however, I could probably relate to you here a little bit. Maybe about 6 months before I went into Survivor, I read a book called Digital Minimalism, and really enjoyed that. And one of the action items in that book is spend a 30-day detox from social media. So I did that. I literally, I only accessed socials from my computer, which was not exactly cold turkey, but it's still like, it's not on your pocket every single time that you can just whip it out and distract yourself. And I truly felt like that was a better way to live life. I felt more connected with the world, more connected with my close circle of friends and loved ones than I did when I'm not on my phone. And I think, I already know that you agree with this, but yeah, I think that social media and technology is captivating people in ways that don't seem detrimental but are really concerning.
Yeah, it was crazy how amazing I felt when that happened. I mean, like, I guess, yeah, that's a lot more similar to what I experienced, what you just said, because you're on an island, you can go talk to friends if you want. You're not like stuck somewhere. So yeah, it's just crazy, and like you said, I think people also just maybe they don't realize how much it affects them, and you don't realize until you go either cold turkey or almost cold turkey, and you go through like that effort. But it's so much easier doing it here on the island versus like in a city or something.
Oh, mate, I can only imagine doing it in London.
Yeah,
torture. Yeah.
It would be almost impossible. Last question: what do you think about lip fillers? Do you like how they look?
You asked me this over Instagram.
Yes.
No, I don't like how they look. I think I enjoy natural big lips. I think anyone with small lips is not going to be a fantastic kisser, and I'm big on kissing, so I think natural big lips are important, but I think any form of artificial implementation into your body is not necessarily. Now, I also, to play devil's advocate here, I also believe in the placebo effect, and I think if something makes you feel better and then therefore have more positive emotions and live a better life, if that helps you, I think go for it. I'm not one to judge anyone, and I think that if that's what somebody else wanted to do, then go for it. But as a man, I'm not going to sit here and go, fuck, look at those lip fellas, they look great. And I do think that you can find beauty in absolutely anything. It's just how you look at it. So if you're self-conscious about yourself enough to get lip fillers or arse implants or big tits, whatever it may be, or fucking fake abs, I know some men do that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Then I think that you should look into yourself a little bit more and try to understand why you're feeling those emotions and try to work on that, because it's not necessarily.
I agree wholeheartedly, because like my throughout my life I've been, I when I started off the lip filler thing, I definitely was a lot more judgmental about it, and like as I've gone exploring the idea and all the thought processes behind it, I realized that I actually have done many similar things, not the same, but similar things. Like I got my teeth straightened, which they didn't need it. They were almost perfect as they were, but I was like, oh my God, my teeth. I got my teeth straightened. I shave and all this stuff in the end, it is all just appearance. Yeah. And I realized at a certain point, it's like, I've also done all those things. So it's helped me a lot to not judge people that get the lip fillers, but at the same time, I think to myself that if I had gone through the process of like actually working on that, like my self-perception back when I first did my teeth, because all the little things that I did, yeah, they all helped in the moment to make me, not think about my teeth or whatever. But they didn't help at all for fixing those like more deeper issues that ultimately were what was holding back. It was never the teeth. It was never the if I'm, my hair's done or whatever, or I've got abs or not. That was all just like fluff and excuses that I was using to not look at who I thought I was, and my self-esteem. It's a lot. I feel like it's the lip fillers and all the extra stuff, especially the one that girls do, I feel like are just easy things to point at, to not look inwards and admit what we truly feel about ourselves, because sometimes that once you really see that, you can be like, oh fuck.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the signs of an untrained mind is those feelings, those emotions. So, yeah. To finish off, mate, I have a philosophical question. Well, not really philosophical, but I have a question for you.
Sure.
We can end on. I asked this to my mum and my brother when I was back there, maybe about 8-9 months ago. I said, what are the 3 most important values you look for in a friend?
Honesty.
Oh, it's on my list, definitely.
Yeah.
And I'll just elaborate on that for me anyway. Honesty is not just being honest with people in a circle, but being honest with yourself. Genuinely, brutally honest about your life, your emotions, your feelings, and not doing any little white lies in your own little mind, because it's so easy to do. We always find excuses or ways to make ourselves feel better, but being brutally honest with yourself is super important for me.
Yeah, it's honesty is it's a hard one. That's what I've been learning this whole time, especially like with the lip fillers and everything. Is I wasn't even being honest to myself about all those things, and the more I realize, it's like, oh fuck, like I need to stop being. Most importantly, like you say, stop being dishonest to myself, because that's
exactly.
holds me back so fucking much. It's shocking how much it is. But yeah, I really appreciate a friend that can tell me when I'm fucking up, when I'm like positive things, like I like them and everything, but I really like it when somebody's like, no, you know what, dude, this is not right. You need to change this. I value that a lot.
Yeah.
Somebody just can tell you how shit is and not worry about, pissing you off or whatever.
Yeah.
Because in the end, I appreciate that a lot. I know it's hard. It's really hard a lot of times to tell a friend something negative. So honesty, you said the 3 values? I would say just that, to be honest. That's such a hard thing to find, to be honest. Like,
Okay.
I feel.
Yeah.
I feel like everything stems from that. Like, that's one of my prerequisites for like loving people is well, I love everybody, but for like wanting somebody around me is to know that I can trust them to give me their honest opinion. Did you want to ask anything about ayahuasca, or you gotta go?
Where did you do your first ayahuasca experience?
First few were in Brazil.
Yep.
Amazing, most ridiculous fucking experience ever.
And so, ayahuasca is the active drug in there is DMT, I believe.
Unless I'm misunderstanding, it's DMT and an enzyme inhibitor, which is what lets you ingest it. Because if you just like grab a ball of DMT and swallow it, nothing will happen.
Right. Okay.
So it's this.
The enzyme, but the active ingredient.
Well, no, they both have an effect.
Okay.
So, but the super tripping like introspective one is the DMT.
Tell me about your most profound experience with an ayahuasca experience. So, like, what did you take away the most from one of your experiences, or what did you learn about yourself or about the world?
I think the first one was the most like profound, I think that they all were in their own ways, but the first one was like definitely the most like reality shattering one, and that was where 3 things happened. One is I experienced a full ego death, which is like you lose I lost all memory, all like I didn't know who I was, I don't know what anything was. It's like stripping everything away from you but your soul, like it's just your soul. So it's like no memory, no desires, no thoughts, no wants, just nothing.
And is that for a moment? Is it throughout the experience? Does it stay with you after the experience?
It was just for a moment. So like there was just pitch blackness. There was absolutely nothing. Like the universe didn't exist. Nothing existed.
Wow.
And then like have you seen those videos where they like it shows like a couple laying down on the ground, and then it goes like zooming out, and then it goes to like outside of the planet.
Yeah.
So it was like that, but in reverse. So there was just pitch blackness first, and then like
And then it moved.
and then it was like going in the universe and the galaxy, and then finally like getting to me, and then remembering who I was, and remembering like language,
Right.
remembering feelings and everything.
Okay.
And that's been super like I don't know, it's kind of interesting because a lot of times things happen that challenge who we think we are, and it's so hard to like deal with challenges to your ego, which is like your sense of image or who you are.
Yeah.
And once I went through that experience, it was just like things that normally I would have denied and been like, fuck no, that's not me. This is no way I'm this way. Before I would have been like that, and now since I've gone through that experience, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, I can kind of like talk shit about myself or see something negative about myself without taking it personally, because I've already been like in this state where I didn't exist. It's like a weird way of dying, I guess.
Is there a reason for you doing it? Like, did you have this feeling like, oh, what drew you towards doing it for the first time?
I had done mushrooms and like acid before that, and I was just curious about like the whole experience, because mushrooms really made me see things from like different perspectives. I cried out of joy for the first time with mushrooms, thinking about the color of the sea over here.
Do you love mushrooms?
I like them quite a lot. They're very nice.
They're very nice.
It's just like, and I'd never cried out of joy before. It's a very interesting thing. I normally would associate it with like negative emotions, and I realized like, no, emotions are not negative at all. They're wonderful. Even if it's sadness, there's a wonder to it.
The beauty about life is experiencing all the different kinds of emotions, I think.
Which is actually something that happened during ayahuasca as well. There was this one moment where I felt like every emotion at the same time multiplied by like infinity. So it's just like every emotion all at the same time, infinitely strong, just like.
I don't think we got that answer then. Did we get an answer about what drew you to it?
I just wanted to know what's up. I'd heard a lot of crazy things about it, so I was like,
curiosity from the.
I had no specific.
Yeah. So my next question is after you'd done it the first time, was it just the same reason that you wanted to do it again the second time, or was there another drawing card that brought you to it? Like, I'm interested to know if there was a difference. There might not have been.
No, I think I sort of started chasing the dragon, so to speak. The second and third and fourth time, I wanted to feel, because another thing I felt like the presence of God.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It was like,
I've heard people say very similar things. Yeah.
It was like an unmistakable. It was not a vision or anything. It was just like a feeling. Like there was no question in me of what I was feeling. I was like, whoa, what the fuck? And it was so amazing that the second and third time, I was just wanted to go and feel that again. I was like, I just want to feel.
And did you?
The second time I was almost feeling it, and the third time, no. I did a couple of times after that, no. And the reason I did not, I believe, is first I was holding too many expectations. Mm-hmm. I wanted something from it instead of just being open. And I was also becoming really, what's the opposite of humble? Proud. Yeah. So I was being proud and like being like, oh, I know what I want. I know what I'm supposed to be getting. I want this, and like just being abusive with the substance. And I believe that it blocked me from that, because when I recently, or like at the beginning of last year, I think it was, I ate an edible that just like showed me all, like weed edible, that showed me all kinds of like fucked up shit about how I am. And after I started realizing that, and I did another ayahuasca, like I started getting so much of that back. And I think I really needed to become more humble to truly appreciate it. So no, I did not feel it the second and third time.
Okay. How old were you when you did it those 3 times?
I think 28 or 27.
And you did it like in succession in that year?
Yeah, I did it a couple times that year.
Well, that's interesting. I'm 27 right now, so who knows? Maybe next year we'll get to it.
Perfect time.
It's definitely something that I'm curious about. I mean, I've also experienced psychedelics in forms of mushrooms, LSD, and actually did a little bit of DMT for the first time with you, which was a good experience, just a small amount. But yeah, I'm just curious about experiencing new everything.
Yeah.
I don't know how to put that. I'm very curious to experience more and more, and I feel like ayahuasca is something that, I really like. It's amazing listening to you speak, and I really wouldn't want to go in there wanting anything. I don't want to go in there and be like, I want to feel the presence of God. It simply, for me, would just be, what else can I experience? What else is there? How else can I live? What else is there to reality?
I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, they do ask you to go in with like some kind of intention, and I must have made one for the moment, but in the end, if ayahuasca is meant for you, because sometimes people drink it and nothing happens at all. If it's meant for you, and if like it shows you something, it'll show you exactly what you need to see at that moment.
Wow. So powerful, eh?
Whether it is what you asked for or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
else, and then you'll be like, oh wow, yeah, I needed that.
Well, Omar, thank you very much, mate. I have thoroughly enjoyed this.
I have too, man. It was an uplifting conversation.
Yeah.